The cruelty of a mother's separation from her son is a deeply agonizing and heart-wrenching experience that can inflict immense emotional and psychological suffering. The bond between a mother and her child is profound and instinctual, forged through love, care, and nurturing. When this bond is forcibly severed, the consequences can be devastating. The act of separating a mother from her son is often rooted in circumstances beyond their control, such as war, political unrest, or migration. Regardless of the cause, the impact on both the mother and the child is profound. The separation is a traumatic event that leaves an indelible mark on their lives, forever altering their sense of security and belonging. For the mother, the anguish of being torn apart from her child is unbearable. She experiences a profound sense of loss and helplessness, questioning her ability to protect and care for her offspring. The separation triggers a relentless cycle of guilt, anxiety, and despair as she grapples with the knowledge that her child is suffering without her presence and love. The child, too, endures immeasurable pain when separated from his mother. He is suddenly deprived of the nurturing figure he has always relied upon, thrust into an unfamiliar and often hostile environment. The absence of his mother's comforting touch and reassuring voice leaves a void that cannot be easily filled. He is left to navigate the world alone, vulnerable and afraid. The long-term effects of such separation can be profound. Both the mother and the child may experience lasting emotional scars, leading to issues such as separation anxiety, depression, and attachment disorders. The trauma of the separation can shape their lives, influencing their relationships, self-esteem, and overall well-being. It is crucial that society recognizes the cruelty inherent in the separation of a mother from her son and takes measures to prevent and address such situations. Support systems should be in place to reunite families, offer counseling and therapy to those affected, and promote policies that prioritize the preservation of the parent-child bond. Hazel Stubbs Reyes of Hampshire, England, has been searching for her son, whom she gave up for adoption when he was a kid. The 80-year-old former nurse was abandoned by her kid when she was 22. The encounter was deeply affecting, and not simply because of the extended hiatus. The family has reunited, and Duet Kenneth, 58, now lives with a loving mother, despite the fact that he was not always cloudless. He'd had a tough life, and at the time of the encounter, he didn't have a home or work. Duo also struggled with alcoholism. When Hazel met Kenneth for the first time, she realized he lived in an abandoned pub. She had given up hope for her future, but her mother admitted she never forgot about her child. There was never a day when he wasn't on my mind or when I wasn't worried about him. In 1960, Heitzer met a young Navy officer over the course of a weekend at a neighboring military camp. The woman mentioned that she initially did not believe in the sailor's love because he was so charming. A few months into their relationship, she discovered she was pregnant. I expected him to be the first to learn of the pregnancy, but he denied any involvement. The sailor was not only charming but also harsh. According to Hazel, throughout the trial, the man convinced the jurors that all of his acquaintances had met with the girl. With little support, the nurse chose to start a new life in London, but she turned down an abortion offered to her at work. On February 19, 1961, the girl gave birth to Kenneth and began surreptitiously looking for a new family for him. I just wanted him to be nice and loving. Hazel's life improved over the next few years as she married and had 2 children before embarking on her lengthy hunt for her first son with her youngest daughter, Angela. The woman sought help from local television, and journalists tracked down the man in 2015. True, his fate turned out to be a little different than his mother had predicted. Kenneth was already homeless, had serious drinking problems, and had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. The man said that his life had been difficult for many years. I've been in awful situations, and my life has remained consistent. I had a psychological breakdown, was hospitalized, and ended up homeless. I lost both my job and my teeth. I would have died by now if things had stayed the same. Things were different during the outset of his journey, according to the man. My foster mother was really close to me and very compassionate. My father drank heavily and could be quite unpleasant at times. It was challenging, and I began drinking as a child. Every day I drank a liter of vodka, then I completely disintegrated. I began hearing voices and became extremely lonely. It was the most difficult time because I didn't have anyone to talk to. Kenneth couldn't believe it when he found out that his own mother was looking for him. I just collapsed and sobbed. I was scared. I was afraid they would refuse to see me after learning about my living conditions. But things turned out differently. I was depressed and had no future. Everything I require is presently in my possession. Hazel admitted that she was indifferent about the possibility of her biological child having a mental illness. I was unconcerned. I worked in medicine and was familiar with a wide range of mental and physical illnesses. The family was in for a pleasant surprise, however. The man was not insane. Kenneth now has a job and has broken every negative habit he had. I'm quite proud of my son. He lived, but he never returned to his prior location. The past cannot be changed, but the present can. The man now refers to Hazel as his mother and is content with his new existence. They saved my life, for which I am grateful. It's great that we're all together. I now have more than the bulk of people.